Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Cryptocurrency Show. Today is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019. And you know what? There's several things that are acting on this cryptocurrency market right now. And dynamics. There's a couple dynamics that are happening right now in this cryptocurrency market. And I want to talk about. They're very important to your investment in cryptocurrency. And so, without further ado, let me get the chart started right here, and let's take a look at what's going on. One of the dynamics is crude oil prices and what's going on over in the Persian Gulf. Here's the thing. Iran, they've violated their nuclear deal. This is big. This is huge to crude oil. Now, it's a factor that could, entirely possible, it could send crude oil prices skyrocketing. This could have an effect on the entire world economy. At this point, the call on cryptocurrencies for this, if this were to happen, and crude oil prices were to skyrocket, in my mind, this could go either way. It's like a 50-50 call. It's either going to affect cryptocurrency in the effect of driving it up massively, or it could diminish the price of cryptocurrencies. Now, I don't know, and I know this is not a lot of help to you guys, but this is a factor that's coming into play that is like looming in front of us. It could happen, it might not happen. It's one of those things where it's kind of like you have to judge it on the fly. But it is a factor that could really affect the price of cryptocurrencies. We're going to take a look today at the Bitcoin price right now. Okay, here we go. Took a little while for that page to come up. Here we go right here. And we're seeing extensive support at the $8,000 level. But we've been seeing a downward movement, and this is normal in this kind of a market. If we expand the chart out and you take let's bring the charts in and take a really close look at this. If you take a really close look at this, what you see is the long-term moving average hasn't budged. That's this line down here on the bottom. You see the line down the bottom? That long-term moving average hasn't budged. This is normal, and even the shorter term moving average is not budging. I mean, it hasn't went below it yet. This is normal downward movement and a little bit of a price correction, but not even hardly a price correction yet. And it seems like it's getting ready to start to turn anyway, and start to level back out, start to basically form a pattern where it basically just goes along like this for a little ways. Little ups and downs. And there's a little bit of volatility here, and it's because we had so much of a extensive price move upwards so fast over such a short period of time. This is what's created this correction. You're going to find there's quite a few people out there profit taking, but this is, I think, getting down. It's starting to slow down now. It's slowing down in around the $10,000 mark. Now, if we refresh the page right here, let's take a look and see where it's going right now. Yeah, it's jumped $300 just since I refreshed this page a few minutes ago. So I think this price correction is nearing its end, and I think that she's going to stay probably between $10,000 and $11,000 for a little while. And then what we're going to see is the next leg up in this market. We are in a bull market. Now, I read one article this morning, and they were saying that this is the beginning of the bear market, and the bear market's still here, and price is going to drop lower and lower and lower. And all the way through, I was reading that article, I was just thinking to myself, this guy, he wants the price to drop lower and lower. He wants to get a few more Bitcoin or whatever the guy was writing it. He's just praying that it'll drop lower. And I think it's wishful thinking now at this point that the price is going to drop below 8,000. That's wishful thinking, because we got extensive support in here around the 8,000 mark, and I don't think it's going to make it down to that low. I think we'd be doing darn good if we make 9,000, if we get down to 9,000. But this is creating a little bit of a buying opportunity again. Bitcoin around $10,000 or a little bit lower than that. Litecoin coming down close to the $100 mark. A little bit of a buying opportunity is giving you before it starts to rise again, you know. So maybe it's a good thing if it lasts for a little while and it stays in this price range, so people can accumulate just for a little bit longer. First off, when we look at this market, there's another factor that we have to take into consideration, is the growing army of HODLers. You know, and this almost simulates let's take a look at gold and talk about gold for a minute, because you can actually now at this point, you can actually compare Bitcoin to gold. Gold has a lot of HODLers. They come in the form of something called stackers or gold bugs. And they're not interested in selling that gold because they're waiting for higher prices. And the same thing works with Bitcoin. We got a lot of, I'm not going to call them stackers, they're called HODLers. And it's a growing army of them. And this affects the downward price. This is going to stabilize. What this is going to do is this is going to start to stabilize. And as this army of HODLers grows larger, and investors that have invested in Bitcoin actually grows larger, it's going to stabilize the downward, whenever Bitcoin, the downward movements, it's going to stabilize it so that it doesn't make such rapid and quick downward movements anymore. Now, I can't guarantee the upward movements. It could still be we could still see very large gains to the upside as we get more accumulation. We're going through an accumulation phase of Bitcoin, and it has been ever since Bitcoin touched its low back here. We've been going through heavy accumulation. You know, players are accumulating them big time. And this is why we've seen such a big move upwards in price. And it's not going to stop. It's going to continue, in my estimation. So anyway, what we got today with the price of gold is we have gold and silver, you know. And I know a lot of you guys, I'm just running through the gold and silver prices real quick because I know a lot of you guys that keep cryptocurrency also keep gold and silver. And you keep the physical. And all three are good. Gold and silver, you know, they haven't taken off yet. They're still down on the floor, basically. I know we heard all this talk lately about how gold and silver, you know, are gold soaring and all this talk, you know, you hear. But really, if you call soaring, staying at around the 1350, between 1350 and 1450, if you call that soaring, I don't call that soaring. I think they're down on rock bottom right now, and they have been for a long time. We see, let's take a look at the silver chart real quick here. 1512. We see quite a downward spiral we had earlier in the day, but it's bounced back and it's made most of that back. So anyway, we're moving head first toward a recession. And that's the second factor that's going to come into play on Bitcoin. And possibly it's a bigger factor than the oil price that I talked about earlier. It's this recession that we're moving toward and the effect that it's going to have on Bitcoin. The initial stages of the recession are going to be deflationary, and they should probably affect Bitcoin negatively, and they're going to affect gold and silver negatively too. Let's take a look at cryptocurrency market capitalizations. We see $303 billion right there. Let me refresh the page and take a look at where it's going. 305 billion. So it's moved up a couple billion. Now the Bitcoin dominance has fell down to 60.9%. It was up near 62%. When you see the Bitcoin dominance fall and you see these altcoins starting to take off more, that's, in my mind, that's a good sign. That's a very positive sign. When you see the opposite of that, when you see the Bitcoin dominance rising and you see the altcoins falling, it means that the market is tentative. They're selling out altcoins and they're buying into Bitcoins for safety reasons. You know, they're selling out their altcoins and buying into Bitcoin. But that's the opposite. Right today, this is the opposite of this. They're finding the luxury of moving into these alternative coins more. that's a good sign that the market might be getting ready for a little bit of a turn upwards over the next few days. Maybe back up to the $1,100 mark. It wouldn't surprise me the least little bit. Listen, thank you guys for listening to the show today, and remember that this deflationary period that we might go through might have a negative impact on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies, but ultimately the deflationary period, if we do get it, it's only going to be very, very short, only last a few weeks, and then we're going to go right into the inflation, and the inflation is going to be much more massive than it is now. Interest rates will be dropped back down to zero again. The Fed might go through a new round of quantitative easing, and there's other monetary policies that they might go into that we haven't seen yet. They have to do with helicopter money. And basically, when all of this transpires, that would have an extremely positive effect on cryptocurrencies. In fact, it could drive them upwards more than anything else. Fed policy. So we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.